Mumbi Ngugi and Maura Isaac from an organization called the Albinism Foundation of East Africa. And they're here to talk to us about the organization. Please welcome Mumbi and Maura.
Thank you very much for having me here. A few months ago, I spoke to one of your fellow Rotarians, Joyce Wayaki from the Nairobi Club. I think it's Nairobi North, Rotary Club of Nairobi North. And I told her that we have this work that we have set ourselves, which is proving to be very difficult because we do not know the right people to talk to and the right people who can guide us in the way we should go. And she told me, you know, Mumbi, I've been telling you for several years to join Rotary. If you had joined Rotary, you would already know where to go and what to do. So she told me, come and meet Rotarians. And your fellow Rotarian, Joe Oting, invited us to speak to you today. Now, I was being very ambitious today. I thought I would find a projector and I would present to you something on PowerPoint and so on. Unfortunately, that had not been properly communicated, so we do not have a projector. So I will not show you all the things that I wanted to show you. But I'm going to talk to you about the subject of albinism, or as my people in Kiamba call me, albino. Now, albinism, a genetic condition characterized by lack of pigment in the skin, hair, and eyes. You can see I look like Tom Wolfe and Chris there, but I'm not a Mzungu. Even though everybody calls me Mzungu. I don't have hair, color in my hair, although people sometimes think I've dyed it long. You know, when you're growing up as an albino child in an African context, it can get very difficult because people don't understand this phenomenon. They do not know who you are or where you come from or what it is about you, why you're so peculiar, to use the most polite term I can think of. So it can be very difficult, and I'm sure Maura will attest to that. So you grow up and you, in a sense, you grow up in a place of isolation because there's so many things. You don't understand yourself, your parents don't understand themselves, your teachers don't understand, and your community, your peers, your neighbors don't understand either. But somehow you grow up, and if you're lucky, you learn a few things and you understand that it's a natural phenomenon, that is genetic, that means your parents, you inherit from both of your parents a gene that makes it impossible for your body to produce melanin, which is a pigment, and it's just nature. But you realize that because of this, the kind of situation you grow up in, many people do not know what it's about and what the consequences of being an albino are to yourself, to your skin, to your eyes. So sometime last year, we decided, Maura and I and several other people, to get together, form an organization where we can reach people who have albinism and see how we can help them and help our society to understand us. Because we find that since you're misunderstood, since nobody knows what you're about, people treat you differently, you suffer from things that you shouldn't suffer from, you suffer limitations that really shouldn't be there at all. And that is what the Albinism Foundation is all about. It comprises about 8 trustees currently. Its aim is to educate the public about the issue of albinism and to see what can be done about helping people with albinism who cannot help themselves to find the interventions that they need to find. Now, why do people with albinism need to be helped? Now, because of the lack of pigment in your skin, you're very sensitive to the rays of the sun. I don't know how many people here have met people with albinism, other than me and Maura, of course. I meet people and they tell me, Mumbi, I didn't know, I've never met a person with albinism, I don't know what it's about. But you may have seen people with albinism who have very badly burned skin. You find some with very bad lesions on their skin, and you find many with very red faces, and you wonder what this is all about. Since you don't have pigment in your skin, it means you're very sensitive to ultraviolet rays. It means your skin is very easily damaged by the sun. Now, you can do something about that. You can buy sunscreen and use it on the exposed parts of your body, or you can use a hat. For many of us with albinism, sunscreen is a very expensive item. It costs about 800 shillings, I think, for 800 to about 1,500 shillings for a bottle that will last you maybe a month and a half, 2 months. So most people cannot afford sunscreen. Some may not even know that they can use sunscreen to get, to protect their skin. So that is one of the problems that they have. And when you have constant exposure to the sun and you get those lesions and they're not properly treated, you get skin cancer. I think it's called, I don't know whether there are any medical doctors here, but I think I've been told it's called basal cell carcinoma. And of course, if it's untreated, it leads to certain consequences, one of which is death. So every time I read literature about people with albinism, when I was young, I would find things that would say, oh, people with albinism never reach their 4th decade. I have hit my 4th decade, I went back. So to that extent, I'm lucky. But not everybody is lucky. A lot of people have not been able to reach that 4th decade because of skin cancer, which could have been avoided by certain interventions, by certain information which hasn't been available. Now, the other limitation is with the vision. Now, one of our trustees is Dr. Chopsy. She's a ophthalmologist. I can never pronounce that word properly. But anyway, she's an eye doctor. And she tells me that because of the lack of pigment in the eyes, the muscles of the eye don't develop properly, and so you have very low vision, you have very limited vision. If you get certain treatment before, let's say, the age of 7, you can grow up with much stronger eyesight. But if you don't get that treatment early enough, then of course your eyes tend to grow weaker, the muscles don't develop properly. So those two interventions are crucial, the sunscreen and the early intervention with the doctor and glasses. But there's a third, I think there's a third problem, which I think is the biggest problem as far as I know. The lack of information in society, in caregivers, and in parents, and teachers especially. So what happens? Mumbi has been born, she has albinism, because she doesn't have color in her eyes, and she doesn't have glasses, she's always peering. If I take off my glasses and I go out in the sun, I would have to squint like this, because all the light bothers me very much. And when people see you do that, when people see a child do that, they say, this child is blind. So what happens? Practically 80% of people with albinism are taken to schools for the blind. Now, Amaura is here. I hope he'll allow me to say that he went to bigger school for the visually impaired because people believe he is blind. That in itself is not a bad thing, because you're in a place where you fit in and there are many other children with albinism and the rest of the children cannot see you. So in a sense, you're comfortable, because you're among your own kind, so to speak, and the others won't see you, so of course, you're okay. But the trouble is that you've already branded a child blind because their vision is limited, even if they're not totally blind. You have isolated them to that section of society and made them believe that the only things that they can do are the things that people with visual limitations, people who are blind can do. But worse than that, I think, is that you have kept them so far away from society that when they get out, it's a shock. I will go into a crowd of black people who have never seen me before, and they will all crowd around me. I don't know whether you've ever seen the movie The Elephant Man. The first time I saw the movie The Elephant Man, I did a bit like the Elephant Man, because every time you go to a crowd of people who are dark skinned, they're all over you basically. You're so strange, you're such a strange phenomenon. So when you have a child in that environment, when they come out, it's a bit difficult to cope because that's where you are. And then, of course, the things you're told that you can do. There are people who will tell you that because you have albinism, you cannot study this, you cannot study that, you cannot study the other. Maybe you studied Braille most of your life, so of course, the pleasure of reading things in print is not there for you. So those are those limitations. Because society doesn't know about you, doesn't understand.